Welcome to the App Advisory Show, your fortnightly dose of all things cloud accounting, apps, and app advisory.
Hi folks, welcome to another episode of the App Advisory Show. I'm delighted to have Tom from Lightyear. Hi Tom, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Where are you today?
I am in one of our little cubicles in the Belfast office. So
okay. I thought you would be. Normally when I speak to you, you're across in Ireland. So good to have you on anyway. So we're going to, obviously we've spoken a few times at a few different events, and Lightyear is not a new product to the ecosystem, but I think it's an important product that probably people should learn a little bit more about. So first things first, tell us a bit about your role and how long you've been involved with Lightyear and what you did before, if you want. So give us a bit of an overview of yourself, Tom.
Yeah. So I was here from the beginning. We started the business in 2017. Myself with a couple of brothers who are two Northern Irish brothers from over here. They've had experience. They've been there and done that before. So they built the first cloud accounts payable solution in the market back in 2010. So like when people do look at us, we do actually have over 10 to 12 years experience in this space. We're not a new business in the normal sense. My background, I've been in sales pretty much all my life, but then I moved into operations, and I had a role with PayPal for just over 5 years, heading up their operations center in Dublin, and then also shipped over to Sydney, Australia. And then I wanted to change from the big corporate world, and this opportunity came about, mutual friend with myself and Chris, one of the founders, and we got in touch and it kind of started from there. So that's how it all started.
And just on that, how have you found, like, working for PayPal, like a huge business, and then go into like the bootstrapped classic software business, building itself up? What was that like? As like a culture difference?
It was a massive culture difference. I think working at a big corporate, massive benefits, right? You learn so much, you get all the training, you get the opportunity to kind of also converse with people around the world and so on and so forth. So that was great. And I learned a huge amount from a professional perspective as well. But the slow cog of a big corporate as well is kind of tiring. Decisions get taken forever to be made, and so on and so forth. You have very little influence on the strategy and the roadmap and so on and so forth. So that was the challenge that I was starting to face when I was working at that company. And startups, incredible. I mean, apart from the pace of it, obviously, and you need to realize that you're going to be doing 60, 70-hour weeks for the first couple of years, to get it off the ground. But the actual, the reward is incredible. Seeing a company go from three of us in one small little office to a much bigger office now with global reach, and and just seeing it come off the ground, and actually seeing customers giving us incredible feedback as well. Kind of, you feel really proud about that because it's like your baby.
Yeah, brilliant. Great to be involved and so invested in it personally as well, and
definitely
see the output of that. Right, so let's get on to the meat of it. It's like the solution. So give us an overview of what Lightyear does, how it's fitting in, some of the key features, your chance to tell us a little bit about the product, and I might have a few questions along the way, but give us an overview of the product.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, our bread and butter, our previous solution that was in the market back in 2010 was accounts payables automation, based obviously in the cloud, and we've really evolved from there. So we kind of built Lightyear on a brand new stack. The benefit of that means that we can develop the product really, really quickly, and I'll talk a bit more about kind of features that we continue to progress with. But we saw a massive opportunity for a product that would kind of really fit the middle market, your mid-tier size business, your businesses that are kind of larger than your kind of one-man bands, but not at the enterprise level yet. We saw a massive gap in the market still for that, and that's where we kind of decided to get Lightyear off the ground. Product, AP automation, but we're quite unique. So everyone else is, my understanding is that most of the guys out there use OCR, right, as their kind of main primary data extraction model. We've got our own IP technology to take data off documents, and that's one of our key kind of USPs, is that we're able to take a system-generated invoice straight into Lightyear, 100 lines, 1,000 lines, and extract every single line item off that document in real time. We can do the coding elements as well, which is, obviously super beneficial for you, the likes of people that are working in the accounts payable space or bookkeeping space where they need to code these documents for their financial software. We do that for them, so, you've got 1,000 lines all coded accurately for you within a few seconds. And then it's just a matter of, being able to click a few buttons to get that data into your accounting software, so we're really speeding up that kind of very manual task from that aspect. But we've also got a huge amount of bells and whistles around kind of that data as well that we do too. So you're going to ask a question there?
No, I was just coughing actually, Tom. So I thought I'd just be polite and not cough on camera or on microphone. That was all right.
Sorry for catching you out there. No, so we've got lots of other things that we do around that data. We do approval workflows. We've built it now that's super customizable. You can have multiple tiers of approvals depending on value, GL codes, tracking categories, cost center departments, you name it. We can basically build a matrix around what the requirements are of the client. We do group structures incredibly well. So you've got your parent kind of child structure within Lightyear as well, where you can have an entity with multiple entities underneath it. That's a big win for a lot of our clients as well. Supplier statement reconciliation, another massive pain point that a lot of our customers are facing, and we're dealing with customers, as I mentioned before, that are doing higher volumes than your typical kind of one-man band. So they're processing, 500 to 1,000 invoices plus a month, and we're doing anything from like 20 to 30,000 for some clients. And one of those biggest pains is trying to reconcile that statement at the end of the month, right? Some poor person sitting there with a felt tip pen trying to mark off everything off the statement manually. Our system will fully automate that as well. And that's a real wow moment. Whenever we're presenting that our product to our customers, they always go, oh, wow, this is incredible. This is going to be a real time saver for them. Lots of other things around the data, price checking, making sure you're not getting overcharged by suppliers. We've got lots of little elements around the data that we're producing, and now we're building a lot of additional features from the data that we've got. It's really rich data, so we need to give people more better insights around the data that they're kind of being able to extract and give them the opportunity to make business decisions in real time as well.
I mean, there's a lot in there, right, in terms of all the way from taking the initial information, then we talked about approvals and the supplier reconciliation, plus reporting, plus all that stuff. So I suppose people will be thinking like where do you sit in the world of invoice automation, I would call it, or scanning invoices? Because what I'm hearing is obviously it's a solution which has got can cope with complex elements after that point and pre that point, right? So say all the multiple lines, thousands of lines at a time, and all that type of thing, which can be done. So I think people just to get the clarity on where does it sit and position with other products, and where do you sit in that market, so people are clear with that.
Yeah, we as I mentioned, we're kind of mid-tier size businesses. We're businesses that potentially have their own finance function in house. So we work with businesses that are ordering a lot of products. A lot of product-based businesses typically like our suite of features, because obviously that's important to them, that we're getting the line data out. And there's no manipulation there. The likes of with Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, we complement them because they can go after bigger businesses, right? With the suite of products that they're offering. If they go with us and Xero, or us with QuickBooks, you've got the ability then to reach out to really, really large businesses that don't have to then move off a Xero or QuickBooks potentially onto a mid-sized ERP solution, as an example. So that's where we kind of see a lot of traction. But industry specific, we're really agnostic. I mean, anything that's product based, anything that needs potentially complex approval workflows, we're trying to keep everything in one app. We don't want our customers having to learn or look at points of data in lots of different areas or applications. We're trying to keep everything in one place for them.
I think that for people who listen to this, I think that's some of when you're talking to clients about their process around AP or supplier reconciliation, you might have a product in mind, like the obvious ones in terms of like getting data into these systems is like your HubDoc and your Dext and your auto entry and those types of tools, right? But there could be other questions that you need to ask around that, because they just may not be fit for purpose for a very small element, or actually just may not have the growth that you need for those particular clients. And I definitely think that I've spoken to some firms where they may have started one of those products, but soon realised, in the following few months, it needs a lot more than that product. It needs some other controls, some other visibility. So I think that's worth bearing in mind when you're getting into this world, is to open the conversation, not necessarily always with the product in mind. Open the conversation and see where the conversation takes you, then make a decision on which of these tools could be useful for you. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's something they should bear in mind?
Definitely. I think, whenever we have a conversation with a customer or an accountant, we go for the whole business approach with the customer. We want to understand exactly their current pain points, what could be their future pain points, what could be, the challenges that they might be facing further on down the line. Because most of the companies we speak to have got, really great ambitions in terms of growing the business. What company doesn't want to grow, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that we will fit within those kind of aspirations, but also, cover off those pain points as we go along. And that's where we have those discussions, and we do have a consultative approach. We just don't come in and say, hey, well, here's Lightyear, here we go. We really get into the deep depths of understanding the pain points and also the appetite as well. For taking on technology. I've always found that key. They could have the perfect pain point for Lightyear, but if they haven't got the appetite to embrace the technology, then it's always going to be a really big challenge. And then the other thing I think from our perspective as well is that we take on all the all that scoping, all that project planning, all that implementation of the product off the hands of, let's say, an accountant or a bookkeeper who would potentially would have to learn the likes of a product like Dext or whatever and implement it themselves. We'll take all that off your hands. You just need to kind of potentially find an opportunity for us. We'll obviously qualify it for you as well, and we'll walk away as well if we don't feel it's the right solution. I think that's so.
Yeah, I think an interesting one. So I've been doing a bit of work with some firms around optimization. I call it optimization. Basically, they may have put some cloud software in the last 10 years, right? We're saying 12 years for Lightyear, but let's say the last 4 or 5 years. And what I am not seeing a lot of at the moment is people going to revisit those businesses and go, hey, we put Dext auto entry, or we put something in at that point, Lightyear, whatever it might be. And there's two elements. One, it could be that the product has been outgrown. They started on a lesser product. They've grown in that time. We certainly saw this with some product businesses over the pandemic, where what they had before and now what they're selling, their numbers have grown astronomically, and basically their systems are no longer fit for purpose. But they weren't anticipating that growth. So the first one is that people's businesses are changing. So even asking how are you getting on with the software, or are there any processes, even though for 2 years they might say, no, nothing's changed, it's fine. The third or fourth year they might say, oh, actually, that's something that we do need to look at, and we need to consider a change or an upgrade or whatever it might be. The second part that we're not seeing either is people have been put on these platforms like Lightyear, and I'm sure you guys are going to be saying to us, we do lots of updates, there's lots of new features, there's lots of, we'll go into a little bit of the features, anything on the roadmap shortly. But I think we've got to go back and educate on what's actually happening to the products as well. We can sit there and go, hey, you had Lightyear in 2017. I don't know how many changes you've done in that time frame, but there'll be a lot, and there could be some more applicable elements of Lightyear to that business. So at the moment, I think when I'm seeing these systems input, certainly from accounts, I don't think they're going back and asking questions about what's changed since we last had that system put in. And I think there's a real opportunity to gain some more understanding of the business, but two, just gain either some more work or a better business process for the client or better output. So that's something I think a lot of the firms have got to work on. I imagine with Lightyear being such a big system, there'll be a lot more added to it. You're dealing with lots of different use cases that are coming in. I'm sure there's more that could be applied again to those clients that are already on the system.
100%, and we haven't done the best job of that either, right? I'd probably put our hands up. We've been going at such a fast pace. It's been difficult to go back to our 2017, 2018 customers, even 2019, 2020, right? Because products continue evolving, is to go back to them and say, actually, we've got all these new features. I mean, we invite everybody to webinars and product updates, but not everybody turns up for those kind of things. But we were actually making a really active a part of like, you know, our drive in terms of getting customers more stickier and so on and so forth is going back to all those customers now and really kind of having the conversation with them, as opposed to just saying, oh, here's a link to a webinar, see our feature updates. It's really getting back into those businesses and getting a better understanding of that, you know. So yeah, I fully agree. It's our product. I can't even keep up with it, I'll be honest with you. So, you know, it's that, you know, most of my team are like, we're going, you know, trying to keep up with the development of the product is crazy, right? So if we can't do it, then I don't know how, you know, an accountant, bookkeeper on behalf of their clients can do it, and they're busy, and, you know, and even the client themselves, you know. So we have to get better as a piece of software as well to really drive the engagement onto understanding what's new and what could be potentially a benefit to them.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's a question we should, you know, because we've asked it once, it doesn't mean we shouldn't ask it again. It might be the right question wrong time, but at some point it could be the right question at the right time, and then you've got an opportunity to discuss these. So there's better use of existing software, but there's sometimes the software they've got is no longer fit for purpose for whatever reason. So we've got to try and take that in. So Lightyear seems pretty robust, pretty complex, and great that you've got those services that you can implement on behalf of the accountant, bookkeeper, and obviously they can be as involved as little or as much as they want to be, depending on what they want to do. But in terms of like features and roadmap, is there anything that's really taken the fancy of clients in terms of features, or anything on your roadmap that you think is going to be quite meaty?
Yeah, we've you know, I think one of the biggest things that we do as a business is just listen to our customers all the time, right? And some of them come up with these quirky, wacky ideas. Some of them come up with some really brilliant ones that we've never thought of. And we couldn't believe we hadn't thought of them, right? You know, typical when you're in the tunnel vision. So we're really listening to them all really, really carefully and trying to understand, you know, what is going to be the next big thing for them. A couple of big things that are coming up that I think is going to make a massive difference is that, you know, some of our clients want to get their data through our system and have a big approvals workflow and a mechanism behind that. We've recently released a purchase order module, so we're really trying to get into that kind of full end-to-end process of a business, from purchasing products into kind of, you know, processing invoices against those particular purchases. So we brought this purchase order module in at the beginning of the year, and the benefit, I guess, from our side is that because we're extracting line item information off invoices, we can match really specifically against purchase orders, whereas most systems that do matching will match PO number and amount. We'll go into the granular detail, the line items, quantities, unit costs, descriptions. We can match on pretty much anything within that data set, and that obviously then gives customers a more confidence and a better understanding or better idea of stuff that's coming into the business, that it is actually exactly what it says on the invoice, right? You know, so that PO module has been brilliant, and obviously we still continue to iterate it. You know, it wasn't, we release stuff and it's never always perfect, and we're obviously getting a lot of feedback from customers and doing some work there. Stuff that's coming up, like, again, we've got customers that, you know, if everything comes into our system, it looks right, everything matches, you know, from a PO invoice perspective, all the GL codes are all there and everything, then people want it auto-published, right? They don't want to have to go down another step to be able to get that data into their accounting software. So within, I think, probably the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll probably have the opportunity to get auto-published set up, where our system will only push stuff into the accounting software that is perfect. Anything that's kind of a little bit we're unsure of, we'll let the customer then decide what they want to do with it, you know. So we're moving into that phase, and we're just trying to reduce the amount of touch points, right, on these documents. But also, we're also conscious that it's really important data, so we want to make sure we get it right as well, you know.
So. It sounds like it's like that auto-publish, well, then dealing with exceptions, right? What looks right and is right based on what we know of you will flow through. What you need to have a look at is that right there in front of you, which we all need help with, like finding out what the priorities are, right? So that sounds like it's really going to help. The purchase order module sounds, I think we've heard this a lot in the accounting space around this purchase order visibility linking into the invoices. So they sound pretty good. Were they very much customer led in terms of feedback? These are what we need and this is what we haven't got. So this is what led you down this development route for these features?
It was more in terms of the space that we're in and the industries that we were going after, you know. So as we started talking to bigger businesses, they were talking about these purchase orders that they were raising, and we were like, well, we could probably build a module that would help with that. What we've also realized as well with that kind of you know, understanding is that a lot of our customers want to raise their purchase orders in a different system, because that system is linked to a lot of other things. It could be linked to production, it could be linked to customers, you know, and so on and so forth. So we weren't pretending to replace that. We would say like, well, we can ingest those POs as well, so we can take and create POs and ingest external POs, so that we can still do that matching piece for them, which is critical. So that was a big piece of it. But that was really, it was more because we're moving into that larger end of town size business, because of the more features we were developing, we felt like we could have a decent offering there, and that's when purchase orders kept coming up on conversations.
Brilliant. So purchase order is out now. Is that a function that's available now? Or?
Absolutely, it's out there. It's live. It's fully functional. We've got, I think, 250 customers now on the PO module, and we've got quite a few in the pipeline. So it's coming along nicely. We slow burned it out of the blocks, because we wanted to make sure that if there are any fundamental issues or challenges that we might have had with it, that they would be picked up early and we could fix them. But it's been going really well.
And the auto publish is due out in a few weeks.
I think 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah, we've got loads. I mean, we've released over 50, 60 small or big features over the last kind of 18 months. So that's how quickly we develop. We don't have one of those rigid development cycles where it's like every 6 months we release stuff, or 12 months. It's a very fluid one, right? So it literally, when something is built and tested and verified, it goes out. So it's every 2 to 4 weeks, and that's why I said it's tough. It's tough for me to keep up with it, let alone somebody else, right? So, but we try to get a lot better in terms of promoting out all the new stuff that's happening, and a lot of it's not chargeable as well. So it's a lot of the stuff we're releasing is stuff that they could be using for free. They just need a little bit of kind of coaching on it, or have a look at a support article and get it up and running. So it's
this goes back to the point as well earlier, talking about the change of software. It used to be so slow, and it wasn't even that slow. It was just not as proactive as it is now. It can be weekly drops, bi-weekly drops, at least monthly drops for everyone. If you've got a few bits of software, it's hard to keep on that. So I think it's a change of mindset for both the software houses, the vendors, and also the customers and the people who are talking about these systems. So it is a different mentality.
It's a combined approach, right? But also it's like the internet. How slow was the internet back in the day? I remember it well, right? So, but then as soon as broadband came in or dial-up, I thought this was amazing, and then it all kind of, so it's just how it evolves, and the evolution. Everyone wants everything quicker and faster these days too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of accountants and bookkeepers listening, and I think some of what we've spoken about will really they'll have been involved in conversations with clients who need that type of complexity covered. In terms of interacting with accounting software, I'm going to guess that you can be pretty vast with who you interact or integrate with overall. So who do you link up with in terms of accounting?
Yeah, the main players: Xero, QuickBooks, Sage. The three main kind of players. Accounts IQ. We've got NetSuite. We've got a bespoke export functionality where you can, basically get data out of our system and into anything. So that's really beneficial. We've had a lot of industries that are very kind of have accounting software that's very specific to their industry, absolutely. And they can't, all the other apps don't typically go there because it's too hard, right? We go there, and we get a lot of customers in a lot of different industries that I never heard of the industry before they came knocking our door. So we can really kind of get our data into pretty much anywhere, and there's bits of middleware as well that we can use to support those data communications as well. But the main players: Xero, QBO, Sage, and Sage Business Cloud that's been recently released. We've got the API there, just finalizing off Intact, which is obviously their kind of newish product to the UK market as well. But I would, what I would say to the accountant bookkeepers out there, if they have a client that's on a piece of software that doesn't have that traditional API connection with something, at least give us a shout, and we'll look into it for you. And that's the consultative approach as well.
Do you do what about desktop and stuff? Do you do any links into desktop, or is that how you use the exporter, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've got pre-formatted kind of export files for the likes of Sage 50, Sage 200, QuickBooks Desktop. We see a lot of that from the US still. A lot of people on QuickBooks Desktop out there still, and big businesses as well. So we have all that in place for anything that's desktop orientated. And again, you're talking to customers as well that, if they're on desktop, they're probably not on that journey of cloud technology just yet. So they're quite traditional, and they like to have full control over the process, right? They're a bit nervous about APIs for whatever reason, and, bank feeds and stuff like that. They just want to know that if they click a button, then they can click another button, and that will get their data in, and they can see the physical file that they're putting in. They actually appreciate that more. And when we present a middleware to them that's like a watch folder, they kind of go, oh no, I'm happy with the way I'm doing this, you know. So but it is also saving them a huge amount of time from what they were doing before. So you know, an extra couple of clicks to get their data in doesn't really bother them too much.
No,
and it's consistent and solid. You know, when you've got these APIs and stuff, you know, for whatever reason, sometimes things go wrong, you know, or SFTPs or whatever. They just feel that, you know, that ownership of getting that data in as well really helps too.
I think as well that what your linkage into those types of systems, from a Sage QBO Xero up to a NetSuite and Intact, and that probably shows the breadth of businesses and the spectrum of the size of businesses, because they can easily flow through those accounting. You know, you could go from Xero to Accounts IQ into Intact / NetSuite, and that could be like a 5 to 10 year journey. So what we're saying there is, like, Lightyear can sit along all that journey with them, can't it, to grow through that. So I always think that shows the breadth of a product with who they're looking to integrate with.
That's it. Customers, if they move off any accounting platform, we typically move with them. It's very rare where we've got to a point where they've gone, well, we're moving on to a solution, and then we go, oh, sorry, we don't integrate with that, or we can't get your data into that system. And therefore, they don't have to pull us out at any point. You know, they'll just chat to us. We'll help them with the migration. You know, we'll fully support them on that aspect. So it's not a heavy lift on their end. And it's quite a smooth transition, you know, which is great, you know, because these are big decisions these customers are making, especially around changing their accounting platform. And if they're moving to a small ERP or something, that's a big investment of time and money, you know, and we want to make sure that the pain isn't on our side. You know, they don't have to worry about Lightyear. They can worry about that piece because it can take them a long time. And I've seen it go a bit, you know, south sometimes on that side of things. But with us, we're all good.
No, yeah, well, it's probably nice for them because it felt, I know this piece of software, it doesn't change. It's the other softwares which change as you implement the others. But okay, and in terms of like accountants, bookkeepers coming across these opportunities, these conversations. How do you guys work with them? Have you got a channel that works with the accounting and bookkeepers, or how does it work for you guys? What's the support for the accountants and bookkeepers like?
We offer a partner program, you know, that is, you know, we feel it's quite, well, it's a partner program and it's optional we really want to give the accountant and the bookkeeper, how would they like to refer business to us? Would they like to just have a simple referral process with us where they refer an opportunity to us, you know, and we take over from there? Do they want to take ownership of the actual, you know, onboarding and setup of that client? We can absolutely do trainer sessions with accountants and bookkeepers as well. We know they're really busy. Our product's really complex. Let us do the heavy lifting for you, you know, make the introduction. We'll walk away from it if we don't think it's the right opportunities, to make them not look stupid, or, you know, make them not, you know, we're not going to kind of try to put a square peg in a round hole either. But we have a partner program. They have the ability to refer opportunities to us. We have a team that kind of focus on accountants and bookkeepers here. You know, it's just important for us to give us the opportunity for them to just understand where we sit within the ecosystem, what type of clients would be a good fit. You know, when I speak to a lot of accountants and bookkeepers, they always say we've got this package of apps that we give to all our customers. And I say, well, look, that's great for 90% of them. And, you know, we're not there to, you know, talk to those customers. We're there to talk to that 10, 15, 20% of customers, and the ones that get audited, the ones that are kind of slightly bigger, where you can give them the opportunity to provide them with our products and something else as well. And it encourages accountants and bookkeepers to go after bigger deals. You know, we've got accountants coming back to us and say, with your product, I'm allowed to be able to get bigger clients, but more revenue in for me, you know, on the services that we're providing as well. But yeah, they just, again, it's a referral scheme, you know, or they can, you know, take on the billing themselves, and they can obviously then, you know, charge whatever they like to their clients, obviously within reason.
On one point that you mentioned now, just around, and this is just a question to you, so it's not anything really to pick up on. It's more, you mentioned earlier that you've got like an implementation team, so you'll scope it, understand if it's a right fit, and then take a client, an end user, on an implementation plan and take them through and trained. Have you got then, the way you suggested earlier, have you also got some accountants / bookkeepers who undertake the implementation training because they've taken that as a way of doing some extra work for clients? Like, how does that, just to give people listening like the idea of how that works?
Yeah, that's the trainer model that we have. Yeah, it's literally giving them a very similar onboarding experience to a customer. It's not that much different, right? Mm-hmm. But really giving it's more in depth, you know, and we will kind of, you know, get them setting up their own account, giving them their own profile, giving them an account that they can play around with, touch base with them constantly, do shadowing sessions. You know, they need to invest the time, right? That's the only thing, and that's the challenge I think that they all have, is that time is obviously, you know, short for them. So that's why not a huge amount of them want to go down that route. But if they do, we're fully on board with it. You know, because again, for us, it's great, right? Because we've got a few accountancy firms out there that we don't hear from, and we just see accounts getting created and customers getting onboarded, and we don't even touch them or hear from them very, very rarely. So, you know, by all means, it's a nice model on our side, but we don't want people to feel that they have to go down that route. You know, that we can take ownership of everything, and they can just shadow us, and you know, that we keep them up to date on everything that's going on with that particular client. And you know, and that's worked really well for a lot of our accountancy firms that we work with.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because if you're listening and thinking about going down the implementation route, it's also how often are you going to do these, right? Because if we're saying the product moves so quickly, there's more and more features added, and you're only going to do one of these a year, you know, it's like, well, it's a lot of effort to learn it for a one-off implementation. Yeah, you might get some fee, but I think sometimes I think this is repeatable. If you're going to come back to the product a year later, it could be entirely different in certain modules which you've learned before. So I think people, if they're going down the implementation, you've got to think of it as, am I going to do more of this, or am I marketing to attract more of these types of clients? If not, and you're stumbling across them, or you know, it's a bit piecemeal, then it's probably better to hand it over to you guys to implement. If you're going to do it as a repeatable process regularly, then it's something you can probably consider yourself.
That's it. If they're thinking, right, our strategy is to target larger businesses, you know, 2-5 mil a year turnover to 10-15 mil, then absolutely have that in your armory to be able to bring to the fore. But if it is, as you mentioned, just that odd customer that's going to come knocking on their door, that's going to turn around and go, I need approvals workflows now, or I need this, or I need that. They're never going to be able to stay up to date with our product, you know, and that's where we would come in and obviously, you know, take ownership of the kind of onboarding experience. Plus, you know, we'll guarantee that it's going to go really well, right? Because that's you know, for our best interest as much as it is theirs. But you know, we'll guarantee it from that sense because we've got all the experience and the team behind it. You know.
And in terms of like, if anybody's listening to this and thinking, oh, I'd like to learn more, or I've got a client I want to discuss, like how do people interact with you? How do the accountants, bookkeepers get in touch with you via the website or any other?
Yeah, just, I mean, obviously they can contact me directly. They're more than happy to do so. Send me an email, but probably the best way is to come in, open a chat with our team. You know, what typically happens is if someone comes in that's a new opportunity for us, they get handed over to a specific team, and then we'll set up a demonstration. We typically go down that route. So it's really important. It's a needs analysis. It's not really a demonstration. It's more understanding their firm, type of customers they have, whether we're the right fit for their customers, and really getting that understanding from them, because we want to make sure that they're not wasting their time with us as much as you know, vice versa, right? We want to make sure it's going to be a productive, fruitful opportunity for both of us. So we just get to the crux of it and try and understand exactly where they want to go with this, and you know, and if they've got particular clients and so on and so forth. But yeah, come through our website, open a chat, and we'll pick it up, or email us directly. You know, there's a contact us form as well on our website too. So if you want to just fill out your details and get someone to give you a shout, then you can book a demo as well. So there's plenty of CTAs. There's a phone number. Give us a ring. Absolutely. Anyway, apart from carrier pigeon, any other way, like come and get us. Like. So.
And are you guys doing any? So you guys are global, right? You're working all sorts of territories at the moment as well. That's one thing I want to add. You're not a UK only product by any stretch, are you?
No, we've got, you know, we've actively been kind of pursuing opportunities within the UK and Ireland and Australia and New Zealand, because we've got our office over there. We're like the leading software app automation software provider out in Australia now, because of obviously the brand that we have out there and also the kind of history that the guys have out there. We've got the APAC market, we've got the UK and Ireland, we've got you know, North America. We're seeing a lot of green shoots in North America. We're bringing payments into our application, which I hadn't mentioned, but that's coming in at the end of this year, which will give really that end-to-end process for customers, and that will also then open up a huge amount of opportunities within the US market and North America, and then South Africa again is another opportunity for us. But then we've also got random countries, Italy, Poland. I don't mean random in the sense they're random countries, just like places that we didn't expect to see opportunities coming from, right? So you know, we've got lots of different countries across Europe as well. We've got the odd 2 or 3 customers there that have just found us on Google.
Okay. Are you guys exhibiting anywhere this year, UK or Ireland?
Yeah, we're doing Accountex. I think that's in May.
Yeah, it is in May, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the second week in May, I think.
Yeah, we're doing Accountex. We're also doing XeroCon.
Okay.
I'm not sure about some of the other events that are happening at the moment. I think there's a digital accountancy show as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be at that. But there's not a huge amount of events happening right this year. I think.
No, there isn't.
I'm not sure if QuickBooks are doing anything this year. I heard on the grapevine.
It's an online, is there? There's an online QuickBooks live online. I think it's online only. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there are events, we'll hopefully be there.
Yeah, you're normally at them. I think I've originally got to know you guys. I think at one of the events, whether at Accountex or something else. So
we had this like 1 meter stand. I think when we first started. Now we can afford a slightly bigger one, which is great. But we love the events. We absolutely love the events. We love speaking to like the accountants and bookkeepers at those events, getting insights from them and stuff, so can't wait to get back to them. I really enjoy them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
video calls.
Well needed, I think. I was going to say video calls are good, but it's a bit monotonous after this long doing them, really.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Right, well, we'll wrap up at that point. It's been great to catch up, Tom, and hear a little bit more about Lightyear. Pretty exciting product updates as well, even slipping in the payments bit there at the end as well.
Yeah, I would have got killed by the CEO if I didn't.
I imagine, yeah. Can we add this snip in after, please, Matt? That we've got to add this in, right? But yeah, and as I say, you guys have been, especially I've known you quite a while as well. So you guys have been around the ecosystem for quite a while as well. So if anyone's listening and the product sounds of interest for a client or for a strategy you want to take forward, you should definitely reach out to these guys. So thanks a lot, Tom, for your time. And I'll hopefully see you at Accountex, if not before. For anybody listening, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anything with a podcast, we're on. So go ahead and subscribe and leave us a little rating as well if you want to. That'd be good. But for now, we'll leave it at that. Cheers, Tom.
Thanks. Take care, Matt. See you.
And you, mate.